In this video, we're gonna see what these three monkeys here are all about. Speaking of which, shout out to Bombaspy for providing this set so we can do a little review and you can make a wise decision as to whether these three monkeys are worth it. You see what I did there? These are of course the Three Wise Monkeys by Snail Shell Studio. You can grab them as a bundle or you can grab them individually. Individually the boxes are a little smaller than your regular Snail Shell box. If you get the set, there'll be a sleeve holding the boxes together. Okay, let's try to open them up. 1, 2, and 3. At first they may look quite ordinary, however they do have a lot of playability, which was a bit surprising. Let's get them out of the trays. Number 1, Little Miss See No Evil. Number 2, Hear No Evil. And number 3, Speak No Evil. Each box contains one tray and some promo and service cards and things. Here are the instructions for number 1, instructions for number 2, and instructions for number 3. There's some plastic protector bits which you'd want to remove very carefully. Initial thoughts in hand, they feel pretty fragile or delicate. For number 3's leg wrap, just peel the tape very carefully. It's probably to avoid the knee denting the thigh, however there is already a little dent. Their little gowns are super thin. There does seem to be some details underneath, so we'll take a look at that later on. They all have pretty similar stuff, so it can be confusing as to what goes with which girl if you accidentally mix them up. However, you should be able to do some mixing and matching, and we'll take a look at that later on too. The basic attachments for each girl are the halos, and their tails of course. Be extra careful of the orange wires because they are super thin, and can break if you look at them the wrong way. I think I already managed to break one of number 1's back wires. Nothing a little glue can't fix, though I do have a slight thought that maybe just not having the wires would be better. We are currently looking at number 2. She probably has the most simple design. And here is number 3. She's probably my favorite with the mask. Looks pretty cool. She also has a mech leg, of course. There is another wire which plugs into the leg. The instructions here are actually incorrect and it doesn't actually plug into her knee, but a little bit higher on the thigh. Be careful with this as you wouldn't want to slip and snap the orange wire, which of course I already managed to do. So number 1 also has 2 thicker black wires. These feel nice and solid and plug into the back of her headgear thing. These along with her tail can help her to balance a little bit better. And here they are together. For articulation, they can turn their heads decently. Be careful of the 2 dangly bits. The dangly bits do move, however they seem a little bit delicate. They can nod decently, mainly looking down. This is what the head joint looks like. So it's not the usual snail shell head joint and doesn't allow for as much range. In terms of other articulation, they are very similar to other snail shell figures, such as Eileen, Lustia, and Muse. They're pretty much just really shrunken down base bodies. Articulation will be as good as you're willing to push it with the gown. In particular for the mech limbs for number 1 and number 3, be extra careful when moving them as they can feel a little bit scary. The wires on number 3's legs are pretty cool though. Foot movement is pretty standard. Legs move quite well. Similar to the other Snail Shell girls, they can kick all the way up, and their wires and tails can move. Of course, they have eye articulation. Before I forget, they also have a stand arm and claw and plug and base, and spare wrist joints for each hand. They have their respective numbers tagged on their gown as well as printed on their collarbone. The tags are just kind of decals stuck onto the gown, and it seems to be the same material as the tag on number 1's sleeve. The gowns do have some real bows on the back. Probably wouldn't want to undo those. Probably the best way to remove the gowns would be to first remove the head, and then remove one of the arms at the bicep. Then you can very slowly and carefully wriggle them out of it. Just take your time and it should be okay. You can also just leave the arms on if you like, however it is a bit of a struggle. The scars and details and things go with the overall aesthetic quite well. Otherwise, not too much else going on. Which one do you reckon had it the worst? They're kinda experiments, right? Speaking of which, they do come with some little jars. These contain the bits which they no longer have. So these are the eyes of number 1, the ears of number 2, and the tongue of number 3. Pretty cool, but pretty creepy, and also pretty detailed. They each also come with an extra faceplate, and number 1 comes with an extra hairpiece. Number 1 has a closed-eyed face, and a surprised kind of face. Number 2 has a blank expression, and a smile. You'll notice that the default face does not have ears, which makes sense. Be careful when swapping these because the headpiece doesn't really have extra room for ears, so you will kind of scratch them a little bit. And number 3 has her mask face, and a very happy face. This is all that they come with, and you should be able to mix and match them. I also like how the default faces are kind of lifeless and soulless looking. On the other hand, the alternate faces are brighter and more lively. Each girl comes with 3 pairs of hands, as well as an extra holdy hand, as in they're holding hands. Just a little bit of a nitpick here. There is no mech to bandage hand, and no second plain pair of hands, meaning that they can't hold hands like 1, 2, 3. If you want all 3 of them holding hands, they can do 1, 3, 2, and they can do 2, 1, 3. They got default relaxed hands. They got other kind of relaxed hands, but these can be used to hold their jaws. And they got not really fisty hands. For height, they're about 14.5 centimeters, or 5 3/4 inches. Here they are next to Lucia, Eileen, Modernia, Alice, Fiona, Yukimura, Yuka, Freerun, and some other stuff. Shout out to Bombersby once again for sending these over. I do have links in the description if you'd like to check out some figures and stuff. So unfortunately the faces and stuff don't really swap perfectly with other Snail Shell figures. However, if you really wanted to, you could probably mod it or something. You can slot the monkey faces directly onto Muse and Lucia. However, they don't fit perfectly with Eileen. But you can put Eileen's faces onto the monkeys. For a more direct swap, you can of course exchange parts between the monkeys. You can make whatever the heck this is. Little bit creepy, little bit unfortunate looking. So I think these girls are a lot better than what I initially thought. Questions, comments, let me know down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.